So the FCC has released a plan to undo its net neutrality rules. As a reminder, net neutrality is an idea that all internet traffic should be treated equally by your internet providers. So for example, right now, under the current rules, Verizon can't treat Yahoo content, which it owns, differently than it treats Google content, which it doesn't own. The current rules are essentially aimed at creating a level playing field for all internet companies or online businesses, but the FCC's proposed rule change would make it so that internet providers would be able to treat certain websites differently based on the type of content that they offer. So, for instance, it might be possible or legal for a certain internet provider to treat email differently than it treats video games, for instance. The entire net neutrality issue has been pretty polarizing, with Democrats on one side saying these are vital consumer protections and a bulwark against internet provider misbehavior, with Republicans saying these rules are way too strict and impose unreasonable costs on businesses. Republicans also argue that this is an example of government overreach and that the FCC actually didn't have the power to implement these rules in the first place. Internet service providers say they largely don't have any interest in discriminating against certain websites. They simply want to find new and innovative business models that they can use to compete against the likes of Facebook and Google. And that's led some lawmakers to suggest that perhaps we should have a net neutrality law written by Congress, but so far Democrats have been unwilling to come to the table and negotiate on that proposed legislation because they believe that the rules could survive if they challenge the FCC's decision in court. So the FCC released its plan to undo its net neutrality rules, but it isn't actually voting on them until December 14th, and it's expected to pass because Republicans control 3 out of the 5 seats on the FCC. Once that happens, you might see a legal challenge from Democrats and supporters of the net neutrality rules trying to argue that a judge should overturn the FCC's decision to deregulate the industry. If the courts do nothing, then the FCC's new rules will go into effect as soon as they're published in the Federal Register. It's hard to predict exactly what this decision will mean for the average computer user just because it involves so many variables. So many internet providers are trying to find new ways of finding money from customers, from websites, that it's really hard to tell what types of business models we might see in the future as a result of this rule change. But it is safe to say that one of the FCC's goals with this decision is to deregulate the broadband industry and give companies in that industry more power to determine what you can and can't see and do online.